First of the series of videos where I'll be showing you how to use Document Object Model in JavaScript. Document Object Model is going to help us access data from HTML and CSS using JavaScript. So it's very powerful. So in this small video, I'm going to show you one aspect of it. Here's a little page I've created. Let me walk you through the page itself so you understand the background and the layout of the page. So you can see here I have a head body, and then there's a H1, there's a main portion. It has two divs. There's a div here and there's a div here. So the first div has a heading and then 4 paragraphs, another heading. We also have a bunch of links here. Then I have 2 buttons. Again, there is a H4 heading and some paragraphs, and then there's a footer. So the layout of the page is absolutely important before you start accessing the elements. You have to understand what is the element that you want to access, what information do you want to get, and how do we go about doing it. So these are absolutely important, okay? So the buttons I'm talking about, we are going to be doing this one right now, this button. We are going to add functionality to this button so I can access a HTML element when I click on this button. So that is the goal of this video. So let us see how to do that. So let us see how to access an element by ID. So we have to first decide which element do we want to access. Let us say anytime I click on this button here, I should be able to get the heading, the content of the heading. So if that is my goal, how would I go about doing it? If I want to get the content of this paragraph, how would I go about doing that? If I want to get the content of this link, one of the links, how would I go about doing that? So that is basically what this is all about. So let's just do one small piece at a time. So let us say I want to programmatically access this heading, H4 heading. So let's go and take a look. So there is a H4 heading here. There is a H6 here. There is another H4 here. There is nothing unique about this H4 versus this H4. So when I want to access an element by ID, I need to add an ID to that element. So the ID gives me a unique identifier, so I know I'm accessing the right element. Without the identifier, all the H4s are the same as far as JavaScript is concerned. So the first job is, if I am very specific about which element I want, I can assign an ID to it. Now I know I'm looking for an element with ID equal to header. So that is the first part of the battle. The second is to know what method in JavaScript should we be using to make this work. Here's my simple JavaScript. So this is a skeleton I've created. All of your JavaScript files using DOM should look like this, because if you're going to use DOM functionality and access DOM directly, it should go here. If you're using them in a function, then they can go outside. Okay, so we are going to write a function called access element by ID. Okay, so and then let's call this function in this button. So when I click this button, I should call that function. Okay, so that is the first part, right? So the first part is to associate an event with a function in JavaScript. So I've done this, and you've done this before too. So now let's go and decide. So if you look at the DOM hierarchy, the highest level is document in the DOM hierarchy. So we are going to be using document, and then you say dot. In this dot, you want to get an element by ID. So that's the very first method on the top here. Here inside the parenthesis in quotes, you have to give the ID of the element. So let's go back to our HTML. This is the ID I care about. So let's copy that, paste it here. So this is going to give me with the ID equal to header. So I'm going to get the element. Now, getting the element is one thing. If you don't save it, it's of no use. So we have to make sure we save this object in this variable. Okay. Now, everything, any information that is on this H4 is available inside this variable called header. Okay. So let's again go back to our HTML. This header, let's look at that just so you can see better. So this header has an ID. This is the tag name. We already know that. This is the ID. What other information is there? So between the two tag names, we have content. Okay, we can get this information by using a method, a property, called inner text. So I can say header dot inner text. Okay. So this will give me content of the header. So I accessed an element by ID and then I got the content of this element. Now I'm going to write it to console. So let's test this little change. I refresh the page. I like to always open my Developer Studio and put a breakpoint to see what's going on. Okay. There's my button. So let's go and put a breakpoint on our code. Line 17. Now I'm clicking on the button. So control comes here, which is good. So the next thing is okay, now let's hover over header. So header, see all the information that you want for that particular H4. See, the whole thing is here. Outer text, inner text. Let's look at inner text. There. So that's the inner text, ID, all of that you can see. Okay. So now let me remove the breakpoint and then run this. Let's go to console. So the content of H4 with ID as header is equal to how to access HTML elements in JavaScript. See, this whole thing we are able to access in the JavaScript. That is how powerful it is. So this one we accessed the HTML by element for a simple element like H4. What if we have to access a link? It will be similar. You would say if whatever is the unique ID of this link, you would say that. What if you have to access this paragraph? As long as it has an ID, this process is the same. Okay. So depending on the kind of element that you're accessing, it may have some attributes that you can access. So let me show you this one example here. I'm going to add ID here for this guy. So I can access it with the same method. So if I want to access this link, I can use the link1 ID. let me do it in the same one. So I can say document dot get element by ID, and then I say link 1. This would give me link 1. I'm going to put it in a variable called link 1. So now you not only can access the inner text, you can also access the attributes. Okay, like the attribute is called href, attribute of ID, all those things you can access. So in this case, we want to be able to access the href. This is the name of the property is href. So let's go in here. Now we can say var href equal to link1.href. And let's write console.log content of href, and then we say href. So this is to get the href. You can also get the inner text. So we can say var link text equal to link1 dot inner text. So you can show both the content of href, you can show the content of the inner text. Let's try this. Click on the element. So it gives me the content of the inner text would be this, what we can see on the screen, links to W3 schools. The href refers to the actual link when you hover over. So that would be www.w3schools.com. See you in the next video.